I want to talk now about perhaps the most important commandment in the Bible. In fact, the ancient rabbis teach that if you put this one commandment on one side of a scale, remember those old scales where it has two pans? If you put the one commandment on one side of the scale and all the rest of the Bible on another side, this one commandment will outweigh all of the Bible. I'm talking about the Shabbat, the Sabbath. The Bible teaches us to remember and to observe the Sabbath day and to keep it holy. And God tells us enjoy creation. There's nothing wrong with accumulating wealth, giving charity, and being blessed in that way. Nothing wrong at all. God says, Sheshet yamim ta'aseh melachtecha. For 6 days, the Bible in Genesis says, you shall do all your work, and on the 7th day, you shall rest. Well, what does it mean that for 6 days you shall do all your work? Is it possible to finish all your work in 6 days? I know me, on Friday afternoon when I go home, I still have an inbox with tens of mailings. I still have emails. I can't finish all my work by Friday at sundown. But there's a message here. God is telling you that when you enter the Sabbath, you are to feel as if you have no more work. Now is the time not for thinking. In Judaism, you're not even allowed to talk about work. You're not allowed to talk about money. That's for the rest of the week. You're not allowed to talk or to think about your business. Oh my gosh, I have this big meeting on Tuesday. You can't even think about it because the Shabbat is an island in time. An island in time. We all know that we are to take this world and to elevate it, to make it holy. A building is a building. But if you put a Torah scroll in that building, it becomes what we call a synagogue, a holy place for worship. A church is simply bricks and mortar. But when people come there to pray and to serve God, it becomes a church. In other words, we can take the physical items, pieces of bricks for those who are developers, pieces of brick, pieces of mortar, and we can shape it into something holy. A Torah scroll. I hope you've seen a Torah scroll at some point. It's on parchment. And of course, the Dead Sea Scrolls and the various scrolls that we found from the time of Jesus and the Essenes and the various other groups, they're all written on what's called parchment. Do you know what parchment is? Parchment is the hide of an animal. In this case, we use a kosher animal, which is a cow. So we cut off the hide, take off the fur, etc., and press it down, and it becomes parchment. And that's what the people in the ancient Middle East used to write on. We, even today, if you visited a synagogue, you see when they take out the Torah, that's what it is. It's parchment from a cow. But if you write the Bible on it, letter for letter, word for word. We don't do Photoshop with our Bibles. We don't do copies. You have a scribe, a rabbi, who with a quill, like a piece from a bird, dips it in the ink and writes every letter. And it takes a year or two to write the Bible. What's my point? My point is, this is a piece of animal hide. But if you put the name of God and the Bible on that, it becomes a holy Torah, the most precious thing. Unfortunately, it's happened many times, even just recently in the tragedy in the synagogue in the United States, where there was a man who came in and killed 11 people on Saturday at the synagogue, and they were afraid of terrorism. What did the rabbis do? They ran and they took the Torah scroll and they brought it out. If a synagogue is, God forbid, burning, you try and save the Torah. But it's a piece of parchment. But we can take a piece of brick and make it into a church. We can take a piece of hide and make it holy so that it becomes a Torah scroll. The Sabbath is our way of taking time. Do you remember what that is? It's something we don't have anymore. The addiction to iPhones, to emails, to everything is faster, but there's less time spent as family. When was the last time that you had a Shabbat meal with your family? When was the last time that you blessed your children with the biblical blessing on the Sabbath? We do that all the time. My kids, I still remember when they were very little, the hardest thing for them was on Shabbat that we couldn't open the TV on Shabbat to watch Sesame Street. I don't know if you have Sesame Street here, but the kids loved it. And in the beginning, they were crying, well, I want to watch Sesame. No, it's the Shabbat. Well, then later, as they became teenagers, I want to go to the mall with my friends. Can you give me some money? No, it's the Shabbat. We stay at home as a family. We eat together. We study the Bible together. We bless one another. The husband recites the portion from Proverbs for his wife. When was the last time that we, and I say me too, that we complimented our wife and said that she is an Eshet Chayil, a woman of valor who can find. Her price is far beyond rubies. And we say, Rabot banot asu chayil, many women have done righteousness. Do you remember what it says there in Proverbs? Va'at alit al kulana, but you, my wife, surpasses them all. This is how we bring love into the world. This is how we act on it, not just by talking about it, but by showing love in our homes, to make our home into a holy place. A home could be like a building with the bricks and mortars. It could be like a piece of parchment. And unfortunately, many homes are like that. But if we listen to what God is saying, put my word on the doorposts of your house, what we call a mezuzah, where inscription of God, portions from the Bible are on a small piece of parchment that we put up on the door, and that's how you know it's a Jewish home. The idea is to take this bricks and mortars, to take these people that we call family, and to make a home filled with God's presence, filled with holiness. You know, the Bible says many times you should do this. In fact, in Judaism, we believe there are 613 commandments in the Bible. But there's only one time in the whole Bible where we are called not to do something, observe the Sabbath, give charity, pursue justice, etc., but we are called to be something. It's a state of being. And that is when God tells us in the Bible, Kedoshim tihiyu, you shall be holy. It's the only time. Holiness is not something you do. It's something you are, and you live by this holiness. My friends, I hope this Jewish teaching, which I will, God willing, pursue further, but this teaching of the Shabbat, you will understand the importance of the Shabbat, and hopefully you will bring it back into your life and into the life of your family. Shalom.